pause. My name is Jillian, and this is Jillian Camps Arizona, and today we're going to be talking about the backcountry permit. I thought I would do something totally different on this video, and I thought that we could talk about the backcountry permit. I wanted to first explain to you how to get the best spot in the Grand Canyon and when to fill out the form. So before we get into how to fill out the form, you know, where I physically show you what the form looks like and all that type of stuff, first let's talk about a little bit about the backcountry permit and camping in the Grand Canyon. So first of all, not every place needs a backcountry permit when you go to the Grand Canyon. You know, a lot of times you will reserve your spaces, you'll reserve your camping spot at the Mather campground and all that stuff. You do that outside of the backcountry permit office. So what the backcountry permit office is for, they actually list it right on their website. So I'm just going to read directly from their website. It's required for overnight camping outside of Mather campground. Like I said, you need, if you're going with Mather campground, you have to go through the appropriate website to book that. It's overnight camping in all sites at 2-week campground, overnight camping anywhere on the North Rim, because they don't have any website to book the camping sites, off-river camping, pack rafting, etc. And then it says backcountry permit is not required for day hikes. So that means if you're just going to be day hiking, means you hike in and out on the same day, no camping at all. Day stock rides, that's basically if you're riding a horse or a mule, you're only doing it for the daytime, so you just ride it in, you ride it out, you're done, that's all. Overnight camping at Mather campground and Desert View campground. Again, these campgrounds have special reservation pages that you go to. And overnight camping at the North Rim campground, you do the campground reservations at recreation.gov. It even has a beautiful list on here. It's got pictures. It explains to you how to book or whatnot. And the only other one that they don't really list is at Phantom Ranch. So if you're staying, if you want to hike all the way to the bottom and stay down at the cabins at the bottom of the campground, this is not the video for you because I don't really explain how that works, but you do have to go through the Phantom Ranch lottery is what they have. They have some type of lottery system now in place in order to get that to work, but it's very difficult to get that, and I've never been able to get the Phantom Ranch dormitories or anything like that, even for the night. So, I don't know, whatever. Basically, what you need a backcountry permit for, what do you need it for, right? That is if you plan on backpacking in. You see me with my backpack, that is what I do. I like to hike in with all my stuff, the tent, food, rations, snacks, whatever else you need on a hike, and hike back out with all that same stuff. So if that's what you're doing, then this video is for you, because I'm going to be explaining how to fill out the form in a rim to rim scenario. So I'm filling out the form exactly as I filled it out when I went from the North Rim back to the South Rim, and that's just a one-way scenario. So if you want to do what I'm doing this time, which is a rim to rim to rim, we start on the South Rim, go to the North Rim, go back to the South Rim, you may have to adjust the form a little bit, or if it's your first time camping, you just want to go all the way to the bottom camp, come all the way back, again, you're going to have to adjust the form. You'll understand it, you know, and understand it in order to fill out the form according to your needs, according to your scenario. So why don't we go ahead and get started on the how to fill out a form. Okay, so what we're going to do first is just Google backcountry permit Grand Canyon. Very popular search. And as you can see, it just kind of pops up here, and I've already visited this website. This is where I get it all the time. And like I talked about, it's very important that you read this entire website. So this is the National Park System, nps.gov, and I'll post the link down below as well. But this is the official website, nps.gov. And basically what we're going to do here is we're going to scroll down in order to find the backcountry permit. It's just really important that you read all this and that you fill out the form truly when you need it. You need the form when you're going to be hiking into the canyon itself, when you're going to be staying at Cottonwood, or Bright Angel Campground or Indian Campground. You need it for those, especially those three major ones. I know those are really popular campgrounds. You need it for all three of those. So today we're just going to be talking about how to find it on this website. So all we're going to do is we just scroll down past this stuff. It just tells you what it's required for, what it's not required for. You should read all of this. And it just explains about how the backcountry travelers, how they must have the permit in their possession printed out. I usually print off 2 copies just in case one gets wet or destroyed. And permits are valid only for the trip leader. So the person who submits the permit must be on the itinerary, must be physically there at the campsite, because that is your name on the permit. So anyways, we just scroll down here. The permit does have a cost. You know, it's $10 per permit plus $8 per person per night and $8 per group per night, camp below or above the rim. And you can see that you can calculate it and that it's non-refundable, etc. So how to apply? We're just going to click on this request form, this backcountry permit request form right here. This is the one you need to do. So it says here that, I'm going to zoom out just a tiny bit. So it says when to apply. To give your request the best chance, submit it by 5 p.m. on the 1st of the month, and we'll talk about that in a quick minute. And how to apply. You know, it's not accepted by telephone or email. You must fax it in, and I would highly recommend fax. I've never had any issues. I would not recommend mail because of the fact that, you know, it could get lost in the mail and whatnot. Or you could bring it physically to the Backcountry Information Center. Again, if you're doing this way in advance and you don't live in the area, that's not feasible to actually physically bring it. So, and then it's basically a waiting game. You just wait and they will email you. They used to mail it to you, snail mail it to your house, the permit, but now they just email you a copy. So this time I just wanted to explain how to fill it out. These are extremely interesting instructions. Very good instructions, and I highly recommend reading through all this. But today we're just going to scroll down to the second page, and this is where you start filling it out. You can also print this out and physically fill it out, but they have these beautiful boxes. You can click in here and fill it out. So you can put your last name in here. My last name's Kate. My first name is Jillian. Your middle initial if you have one, and then a suffix if you have that, and then your street address, and then the city where you live, and the state, and the zip code, and then the country. I like to spell out United States. You can put USA if you feel like. And then your email address. That is very important. If you want to receive your permit via email, you must fill out an email address appropriately here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to type in my email address. And then your contact phone number. And again, the contact phone number, it's usually optional, but I think they like it just in case of emergencies. And then you're going to click on, is this an organized or guided group? Again, you have a better chance of getting it if it's an unorganized group. If it's just you and some of your friends and you're not using a service, so to speak, then you're always going to click no on this question. And the group name you can leave blank because you are not a group or a travel service or anything like that. And then if you're truly backpacking, you know, you're not going to be canyoneering or stock, you're not taking horses or mules or any of that, and you're not using the river, I just like to click on backpacking in this case. So for this example, what we're going to be doing is a rim to rim sample. So in this itinerary, we're just going to, you know, say that we're going to leave this weekend, which is say August the 2nd, and climb out after 3 nights. So 4 days, 3 nights in the canyon. And on the 4th day, we climb out. So I'll explain how that works on this form. So in my case, I only go with myself and my brother. So you include yourself in the group size. So within the group size, you include yourself in that number. So in my case, it was just myself and my brother, and that would be 2 people. The entry location, we'll say that it's going to be the North Kaibab. So in this example, what we're doing is we're hiking from the north rim to the south rim. We're going down the North Kaibab and up the Bright Angel Trail. And this is how you would fill out that form for a rim to rim idea. So the exit location in this case would be the Bright Angel Trail. And if you were going this weekend, again, this is just an example. You clearly don't want to do it for too soon because then you'd have to hand deliver this information to the Backcountry Permit office, and you don't want to do that. You always want to do it at least 5 months out, and I'll explain that in the video as well. So let's say that we're leaving this weekend. So the night of the 8/2, you took off Friday night. You're going to drive up there on Thursday and stay up there on Thursday night. And then what happens is that on Friday during the daytime, you've decided that you're going to hike into the canyon and you want to stay halfway down, which is at Cottonwood Campground. And then on the next night, which is Saturday night, 8/3, you want to stay at Bright Angel Campground, which is all the way at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And then on 8/4, which is Sunday night, you want to stay at Indian Garden, which is halfway up the Bright Angel Trail on the south side of the Grand Canyon. So this is just how you fill out the form, right? You say how much group size, the entry location, the exit location, North Kaibab, and which are your nights in your itinerary that you wanted. What I like to do is I like to include an additional itinerary just in case my first one, say it's too full or something. So we still have 2 people, and we're still entering at the North Kaibab and we're leaving at the Bright Angel. But let's say we want to move it ahead by 1 day. So instead of starting our hike on Friday, we want to start the hike on Saturday. So we'll just put it ahead by 1 day. And on 8/4, so instead of 8/2 Friday to leave on Cottonwood, we instead want to do it on 8/3 Saturday. So we're saying that we're going to drive up there on Friday probably, spend the night at a cabin up there, and then start our hike on Saturday instead of Friday. So we just move all these dates ahead by 1 day. So we have 8/3 for Cottonwood, 8/4 for Bright Angel, and then 8/5, which would be a Tuesday, Indian Garden. So we're just moving it ahead by 1 day in order, or this would be Monday technically, sorry. So this would be Saturday, Sunday, Monday night, and then hiking out on Tuesday, 8/6. And you can also include different alternate dates if you wanted to have an additional, just in case your itinerary is very popular, especially in the summertime and especially during peak season. You want to enter in all this information as possible. So let's say that even 8/3 is taken. Well, we can enter in a whole different weekend altogether. So we can say that we want the weekend after it, 8/10 to 8/13, something along those lines. So we can enter in alternate start dates, 8/10 to 8/13, etc. And if you have a flexible itinerary, you can click yes or no. And they'll end up calling you, And then the next part of the form is the mode of transportation. So is the vehicle a rental? I always drive my own vehicle, so I say no. Parking location, I usually end up saying I'm going to park it at the North Rim, Grand Canyon. And the plate number, if you don't know it, it's okay. This stuff is optional. All this is optional, especially if you're renting a vehicle. You're not going to know that information. So this stuff is optional, and you do not have to tell the ranger. They will know simply that you're hiking in. So if you don't have your plate memorized, but you know the state you're probably going to get the car from, or you know your own state, then you can go ahead and enter that stuff in, whatever you know. And then you just click on the method of payment. They do accept credit cards. But you're not allowed to enter in the credit card on this form. You have to print it out and physically type it in. So let's say that we wanted to use an American Express card. And you just type the exact name that's on the card and the total amount authorized. Now, in order to figure out how much this is going to cost you, you can actually scroll up and click on Calculate Cost Estimate. It's this yellow button right here. It's very interesting, isn't it? So you can click on Calculate Cost Estimate. And it usually sends a pop-up, but maybe not. Well, maybe not. Sometimes the form doesn't work. So, you know, the clicking on the calculate cost estimate doesn't work. Go figure. Yeah, so it's not working, and that's okay. So we can scroll up here and see exactly how much it costs. Permit cost is $10 per permit plus $8 per person or stock animal per night camped below the rim. So it's $10 plus $8 per person, so that'd be $16 per night for me and my brother. And you include yourself in the total as well. So it's $10 plus $16 per night. So in this case, we're spending 3 nights at $16 per night. 16 times 3 is 48, plus $10 per permit. That's $58 total. Does that make sense? $8 per person. So we have 2 people, so that's $16 per night. Camp below the rim, we have 3 nights total. Cottonwood, Bright Angel, and Indian Garden. 16 times 3 is $48. And then you have to add on what the actual permit costs, which is $10 per actual permit. So that'd be $48 plus 10, which is $58. So the total amount that you have to pay for these 3 nights for rim to rim is $58 total. And you can put the cents in too, it's 0. And then what you have to do is you have to print out this, actually physically, you know, write in the credit card number and the expiration date, sign it and date it, and then you fax it. Does that make sense? So there's nothing down here. It just shows the Privacy Act statement and the notices in general. But yeah. And then you have the fax number up here. So you got the telephone and the fax. And what I like to do is I like to fax it in, call them the next day to make sure that they receive the fax and that it's in their pile. And they're very nice. They'll confirm it for you right away. All right, I hope this made sense. Let's get back to the video. The only other thing that I wanted to cover with this video is when to apply. So according to this, it has the instructions written right here on the actual form itself. So you have to submit it 4 months in advance on the 1st of the month. So what's nice too is on the website they have a really super nice, and I'll show this too in the thing. So they have a really nice when to apply part, and it's got a beautiful table which explains which date to submit it on and whatnot. Because it gets very confusing, and nobody really knows when to submit, so people just wait until the last second. That's not the right answer either. So if you want to truly get your days, you have to submit 4 months in advance, 10 days in advance of that as well. So in my case, I was submitting for August 30th, starting on August 30th, which is just in a couple weeks. And in order to work backwards from that, you go July, June, May, April. So the considerations are on April 1st of this year. So when I submitted it was March 20th. I don't have a fax machine either. So what you can do is just go to the grocery store or go to FedEx. They can fax it for you for a small minimal fee, but I just have them fax it for me and I just pay whatever. And then what happens is you call them the next day, confirm that they received the fax. They have the number right on the form. So you call the number on the form the next day after you faxed it and confirm that they received the fax. And that way, you know that they received it, it's in the pile, and what they do is they physically put all the forms in a file. It's just random sorted. It's not in any order that, they received it in or anything like that. I think it is in the order they received it. So I think it's just in the order they received it. It's not in any particular order or anything. And they put all those considerations up front for the April 1st deadline, and then they put everything into consideration. So just try and submit the form on time the 10 days before as early as possible. Do not submit it on March 19th because they may not get it or whatever. Submit it during the time frame. So for my August date, I'm pretty sure I submitted it on March 20th is when I faxed it in. So you're going to want to do something similar to that. Does that make sense? I hope. Good. Okay. So anyways, I hope that the explanation of the form was good. I explained how to fill out your name, the different fields that are optional, including the vehicle field, and how to choose, how to explain which campground you're going to stay at. They used to have a drop down that would, you know, pre-fill out the form with like CBG or whatever, and it would say, you know, Cottonwood, or CWG, excuse me, CWG, which is Cottonwood Campground. But they don't have that anymore. You just physically type in Cottonwood into the form instead. So if you follow these simple rules, you too will be able to get your #1 pick for the Grand Canyon. Feel free to post any questions below too if you have any questions, or feel free to, you know, send me a message. I'm on Instagram now. I haven't posted yet, sorry, but I'm on Facebook and YouTube. Feel free to post any questions you have about getting your spot. The Grand Canyon is kind of tricky with the backcountry permit, but trust me, I've done it. This is my 3rd time now hiking the Grand Canyon, and if I can submit the form and get every spot that I could ever want on time, then you can too. So thank you so much for watching this Jillian Camps Arizona video. Feel free to thumbs up this content if you like it and you want to see more like it. Also, if you're not currently following me and you want to follow me around, feel free to hit that subscribe button below, or you can like my page on Facebook. That's at Jillian Camps Arizona. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.